Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is a really fun video. I've been wanting to talk about the Scooby Doo live action movie for the longest time on my channel. Of course, things have been crazy in my life for the past year. Still crazy, they never end. But anyways, I'm super excited to be back on YouTube with the first video. I'm very excited to make more video essay type of videos, more commentary content, because I feel like it's a type of content I love to consume and I found a lot of passion with it. And there's a lot to say about everything, so that is why I'm super excited to talk about the Scooby Doo live action movie. If commentary videos and video essay content is the type of videos you like to watch, be sure to hit that button down below and subscribe and click the notification for notifications on whenever I upload, because this is the content I'm going to be making from now on. If you'd like to follow me on social medias, links are down in the description down below. It is at Breeyan, at BREEYAHN, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. Follow me on all those platforms and I shall interact with you guys there. I'm super excited to make content for you guys again. Let's get into it because this is too much fun. In the year 2002, June 14th, 2002 to be exact, the best movie of the new millennia has released. Actually, scratch that. The best movie of all time was released. The legendary Scooby Doo live action film. The fact that this movie is now 20 years old is insane to me. And every time I watch it to this day, I fall more in love with it. I was a mere 2 years old at the time of the release, but I do have very fond memories of me watching this movie as early as 4 or 5. I fucking had the movie on VHS and DVD. Yes, I was an OG fan. I literally have this film on both VHS, which is actually the first way I found this film, and I have it on DVD as well. I fucking love this movie. Now, why my parents let me watch this raunchy-ass film so young probably explains a lot about my current day personality, but this isn't a therapy session. Anyways, I am here to explain why the Scooby Doo 2002 live action film was the best movie of the early 2000s and why it perfectly captures the time where the internet was still new and flip phones were the hottest shit to exist. Now, first thing we're going to talk about is the plot. Now, I'm going to be quoting directly from Wikipedia, so Wikipedia, please don't sue me here. In 2002, Mystery Inc., a group consisting of Scooby, Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma, that departed 2 years ago due to friction between each other, reformed to solve a mystery on Spooky Island, a horror-themed tropical resort owned by Emilia Mondavarius. Unfortunately, I never knew how to fucking pronounce his name, so I'm just gonna put a clip of people talking about him. Upon arriving, the gang meets Mondavarius, who claims that visiting tourists have been brainwashed. Velma attends a ritualistic performance hosted by and his henchman Zakaros. Again, I'm horrible at pronouncing names, so if I'm mispronouncing them, I will put them in text here. I think that's where you pronounce it. Claims that island was once ruled by ancient demons and has been plotting their revenge ever since they departed. So I'm not going to get too much into the plot here because everyone and their brothers have watched this fucking movie, so we're not going to get too much into the plot. But basically, Scooby and the gang break up for 2 years. They get back together. They come solve mystery on this island. It's called Spooky Island. And let me just say that Spooky Island, I would 100% visit. If anyone, any theme park, maybe Disney World, maybe Universal wants to make a Spooky Island, like actual resort island, sign me the fuck up. Make me the first person to go there because I would love that so much. So now that we know about the plot of the film, let's talk about the reasons why I absolutely love this movie so much. Number one, the setting of the early 2000s. This movie is peak 2000s. Of course, it was made in 2002 and was released in 2002, but this movie literally screams the word 2000s in your fucking face. Everything about the setting, the plot, the band, everything about this movie is complete, utter 2000s gorgeousness. It is amazing. I love it. This movie screams 2002, and that's what makes it the best. It is unapologetically stuck in its time frame, but that's not bad at all. So many references to 2000s pop culture, from the fashion to the music to the humor, all of it blends perfectly. Now, this movie is what I think about when I think about the year 2002. It is unapologetically 2000s. It's unapologetically pop, punk rock elements thrown into it. It's mixed with bubblegum pop, hip-hop elements, weed references, all of these things all coming together just make it just the perfect film whenever I think about the 2000s. I love it. I love every single reference to it. It is just freaking iconic. The next part I love about this movie is the casting. The casting decisions on this film, oh my fucking god, it was literally perfection. I could not think of any better person to play the roles of these characters. They just did it absolutely fantastic. So we have Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred. Literally the perfect walking definition of Fred. He even fucking dyed his hair for this fucking role. Literally absolutely fantastic. We have Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne. Perfect role casting. She's been in so many amazing films in the early 2000s and 90s that it was just literally made for her. This role, Daphne, was absolutely made for her. Her dress looks iconic. She's an iconic badass bitch that we love. She's absolutely fantastic. Then we have Matthew Lillard as motherfucking Shaggy. He plays stoner Shaggy literally so fucking perfectly. He seems like he's fucking high all the time, but he's got the amazing cues down. Whenever there's a line of dialogue that needs to be delivered perfectly, he does it like that. I love Matthew Lillard so much. Perfect casting when it comes to Shaggy. I can't think of anyone better to play the role of Shaggy besides Matthew Lillard. Then we got Linda Carlisle. I think that's what her name is, Linda Carlisle. Again, she's another iconic actress of the early 2000s. She was perfect for Velma. She plays the nerdy aspect of it extremely well. She well-rounds the character. It is perfect casting. Like, there's literally no better casting than of this film. Then we got Rowan Atkins as Monteverus. Fucking perfect. There's mentions of Sugar Ray in the film that are put into it. We have the actress that plays Mary Jane. Perfect. The cast has never been better for a fucking parody film ever, which we'll get into parody films a little bit later, but I can't believe how perfect the casting is for this movie. It is diabolically amazing, honestly. The third reason why I absolutely love this movie is the soundtrack. Now, for some reason, the soundtrack really isn't very much available on the internet. Like, you can find the clips of it on YouTube, but you cannot find it on iTunes, or you cannot find it on Spotify. I don't know, maybe there's some weird copyright things going on to it, but when I tell you that everyone needs to listen to the soundtrack, you have no fucking idea how just amazing the soundtrack is. I love every single song that they produced for this film. I love every single song that they picked for this film. It is perfect. It's the mix of bubblegum pop, like I said before, the mix of pop punk, which was huge at the time, and the mix of hip hop, which was also very huge at the time. It is just everything encapsulated of the early 2000s all into one freaking album. And it's just, oh my god, the musical guests on the movie, Sugar Ray's fucking in it. Everything about it is just amazing. Fucking Simple Plan. Oh my god. Oh my god. The renditions of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Oh my fucking god. Land of a Million Drums. Everything about the soundtrack is literally fucking perfect.
Ready? Go! Scooby!
I love every single fucking song on this soundtrack. I want the soundtrack on vinyl. If anyone can figure out the soundtrack on vinyl, I will be extremely happy because it is just amazing. I love it. It brings so much joy. I feel like they picked the perfect people to make songs for the movie. I feel like they picked the perfect songs to go in the movie. It's perfectly 2000s. It's perfectly pop punk. It's perfectly hip hop. It's perfectly bubblegum pop. It is just everything you can ask for in a movie soundtrack. And honestly, I will go as far as to say that this is one of my favorite of all time movie soundtracks. There's a lot of good TV show and movie soundtracks out there, but this is probably one of my all-time favorite ones because it is so perfectly done that I can't even want any more from it. I'm obsessed. You don't even understand. I am obsessed. So number 4, the fourth reason why I love this movie so much is the edginess and adult humor content in this film. This film, I even with all the things that they edited out, because there was a rated R version, by the way, which don't worry, we'll get into the rated R version cut of the film, which exists, kind of, sort of. I don't know. I'm still kind of like, I want it, but we'll get into that later. This film was rated PG, and they pushed the lines of PG so freaking far. You can definitely tell that this movie was originally intended for a PG-13 audience, but unfortunately they did go kind of more the family route of it. But they didn't keep out many of the jokes. There's a lot of really adult humor jokes that we'll get into. Directed by Roger Gosnell and screenplay by James Gunn, these two took the kid-friendly characters of Scooby Doo and gave them real-life qualities that translated into a movie full of adult humor that feels so wrong at parts, but so right at others. Each character plays on the stereotypes ingrained into the character's writing, but also takes tropes of what the fans have theorized about these characters. Shaggy is 100% a stoner, and this was clearly going to be a bigger part of the R-rated cut. Fred is an overconfident, overmasculine jerk of a white frat boy. Do I need to say any more? Daphne appears to be the damsel in distress at first, but says fuck that and becomes the bad bitch we all know and love today. Velma is a nerdy pushover that is awkward and never gets the credit she deserves. Fuck you, Fred. Of course, the film over-sexualizes both Daphne and Velma in very obvious ways, adds a lot of lewd jokes into the mix and very outdated and gross ones, but makes up for them by adding value onto both characters. By the end of the film, you realize that each character is a valuable member of Mystery Inc., and this is something that was hard to see in the original cartoons. So as we know, this film has very, very, very adult humor and very adult jokes in it that are also kind of dark jokes in it as well. We're going to go into some of my favorites here really quickly. This is going to be me trying to avoid a copyright strike. So in this scene, we have Pamela Anderson and the Luna Ghost, and the Luna Ghost says, "I am a loverboy of George Clooney in proportions," and then Pamela Anderson kind of like looks at him and is like, "Yeah, I agree." In this scene, we have Daphne being taken by the Luna Ghost, and the Luna Ghost is getting a little bit frisky and keeps touching Daphne's behind, and she keeps like yelling about it because what the fuck, Luna Ghost, why you keep touching her ass? This scene is self-explanatory. Mary Jane reveals her name to Shaggy, and Shaggy's like, "Oh my god, that is like my favorite name." And she goes, "Really? Yeah, no way." In this scene, we finally have Velma calling out Fred for his delusions, calling him out, saying that all he cares about is swimsuit model. Fred has his little fragile masculinity moment where he complains, "No, I'm a man of substance," and dorky chicks turn him on too, which, you know, of course, he's a fucking class act. Anyways, as you can see, I can enter more, but there is lots of instances of dark humor in this film, and honestly, it is just freaking hilarious. Now, of course, there's a lot of outdated jokes in the film that are also really over-sexualized women. Kind of just gross. There's a lot of ED jokes in here too as well. But honestly, it is just fucking hilarious how this movie takes itself into such a parody route. So now we're going to get into one of my favorite parts of this movie, how this movie doesn't take itself as a parody, but also injects many parody elements into the film. Because you definitely can tell that the writers were really thinking that this movie is going to be more of a parody film, kind of like the Brady Bunch movie. There's a lot of similarities between the two, but at the same time, this one I feel like takes it in a better approach, if you will. The parody genre of the early 2000s was super, super popular. Everyone was making a parody movie. Lots of movies were very, very much riding the line of parody. And this movie is no exception. There are a lot of parts of this film that make you think, wow, they're really making fun of the characters. They're really making fun of the franchise. It feels more like a parody. But then there's other parts where you start to get back into it and you're realizing that they're only making fun of the stereotypes of the characters, which is why I really, really do appreciate the film. Taking the parody route without being an actual parody is essentially what this movie is. It feels obvious at first, but as the story progresses, it gets harder to tell. I think this was done intentionally. It makes the movie feel more plausible while being goofy enough to step back and realize that, damn, they really are just making fun of these characters. Like mentioned before, the characters have stereotypes that are basically ingrained in them. These jokes aren't as out there as, say, the Brady Bunch movie was, but they still seem to be ridiculous in a normal setting. And this is mentioned countless times throughout the film, whether it be calling out the characters on their clothes or the way they act. This is why I fell in love with the movie. Even at a young age, I understood that this movie is more of a parody than being a core part of the Scooby Doo timeline. And I think it excels at that. It was a perfect movie to fit in with the huge parody movie trends of the early 2000s. And now it's time to talk about the last and most favorite part of the film and why I love it so much, the fact that there was an R-rated cut of the film. This is something that just blew my mind whenever I read about it a few years ago, but I just can't believe that there was actually an R-rated cut of the film. So apparently, when James Gunn was writing the original script, a lot was more raunchier than we would have imagined. That apparently there was an R-rated cut that still could exist to this day, but nobody knows where it's at and nobody knows what happened to it. So I am imploring you, Warner Brothers, if you're watching this video, first off, please don't take this video down. Thank you so much. Second off, release the R-rated cut. It has been 20 years since this movie came out, and I want the R-rated cut so goddamn badly. Overall, in conclusion, I absolutely love the Scooby Doo 2002 live action movie. I'm sorry I keep calling it that, but there's actually a lot of Scooby Doo movies out there, so this is kind of a way to make sure I'm telling you guys which one we're talking about. It was such a huge part of my childhood that I actually own both copies, like I said, on VHS and on DVD. I loved it. I love all the outtake scenes that they had in the film. I love the scene where Velma was being like weird in the bathroom, and then there's just that weird moment. I love the moment where Velma was drunk on the piano saying, "I love you, baby," and you couldn't tell if Velma was singing to Fred or to Daphne, which explains that maybe Velma is bisexual and maybe this film is super fucking gay and we just didn't fucking know it. I love that so much. There's just so much of this film that makes me so happy that whenever I watch it again, there's always something new that I grasp from it. And that is why I feel like this movie is my favorite movie of all time and one of the best movies of the early 2000s. I know a lot of you guys agree, so if you guys agree, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about our favorite parts of the film. And let's also kind of talk about what happened and what went wrong with the second film. If you guys would like me to make another video about the second film and how I feel about the second one, the second live action Scooby Doo movie, be sure to let me know down below. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video essay on why I think the Scooby Doo live action movie is one of the best movies of the early 2000s. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to hit that button down below and subscribe. And click the notification mode to get notifications on whenever I upload to YouTube. Be sure to follow me on all the social medias. Links are down in the description and down below. You can follow me everywhere pretty much at Breeahn, at BREEYAHN. I have an album out. Be sure to listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to it. That'll be down in the description down below. And be sure to listen to my podcast called the Actually Not Okay Podcast. I have so much fun with it. Hopefully I'm going to get back into it soon. I miss you guys so much. I'm so happy to be back on YouTube. Thank you guys for letting me get back to YouTube, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everyone has a great, amazing day. See you guys later.